Bonjour, friends! It's your gal 20s Nicoletti. What I'm about to show you today would have been your ticket to getting alcohol 100% legally during the days of Prohibition. But how is this possible? Well, let's take a look at the Volstead Act. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you by making you read the whole thing with me. What we're going to do is just take a look at two quick sections from Title II. The first, Section 6, reads as follows: No one shall manufacture, sell, purchase, transport, or prescribe any liquor without first obtaining a permit from the commissioner to do so, except that a person may, without a permit, purchase and use liquor for medical purposes when prescribed by a physician as herein provided, and except that any person who, in the opinion of the commissioner, is conducting a bona fide hospital or sanctorium engaged in the treatment of persons suffering from alcoholism may, under such rules, regulations, and conditions as the commissioner shall prescribe, purchase, and use, in accordance with the methods in use in such institution, liquor to be administered to the patients of such institution under the direction of a duly qualified physician employed by such institution. Next, let's take a look at Section 7 right below it. No one but a physician holding a permit to prescribe liquor shall issue any prescription for liquor, and no physician shall prescribe liquor unless after careful physical examination of the person for whose use such prescription is sought, or, if such examination is found impracticable, that upon the best information obtainable, he in good faith believes that the use of such liquor as a medicine by such person is necessary and will afford relief to him from some known ailment, no more than a pint of spirituous liquor to be taken internally shall be prescribed for use by the same person within a period of 10 days, and no prescription shall be filled more than once. Any pharmacist filling a prescription shall, at the time, endorse it upon over his own signature the word "cancelled," together with the date when the liquor is delivered, and then make the same part of the record that he is required to keep as herein provide. Blah, 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 blah. In other words, if you have a physical ailment that they don't specify in the Volstead Act, you can get prescribed liquor. Have a look at this. This is an actual prescription for alcohol from Prohibition times. It's from my personal collection. Take notice of how it resembles a dollar bill. That's because it was issued by the Treasury Department, aka the branch of the government responsible for enforcing Prohibition. You can even see their name on the right side of the prescription. So, how would you go about getting a prescription for yourself? It was actually pretty easy. Say you had something like cancer, depression, anxiety, diabetes, influenza, or just older, really whatever. You could go to a doctor, describe these quote-unquote symptoms that you're experiencing, and get prescribed alcohol. Normally, it was up to a pint each time across a period of 10 days. To get your prescription, you'd have to pay about $3 to your doctor, plus another $3 or $4 to the pharmacist each time you wanted your prescription filled. That's not a cheap affair. Remember, we're not talking about $3 in 2024. We're talking $3 in 1920. $3 in 1920 would equal about $49 today. Now, double that. All this for a pint. To the surprise of, well, no one, prescribing alcohol turned out to be a very lucrative business for doctors at the time. From 1921 to 1930, doctors earned around $40 million from whiskey prescriptions alone. That's a bit over $633 million today, if my math is right. I remember reading a story about one doctor who got caught writing 475 prescriptions for alcohol in a single day. Oh, I should probably mention that if you were a bit of a picky drinker, this probably wasn't the arrangement for you, because while they did offer a variety of alcohols, more often than not, they would prescribe you with this thing called spiritus fermenti. What the hell is that, you're asking? Don't be fooled. You know exactly what that is. You just know it by another name. It's whiskey. Now, did you know that you can actually find a remnant of these Prohibition-era alcohol prescriptions pretty easily out on the streets? You might have even driven by one today, or maybe you were inside of one without realizing it. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Walgreens. Now, I should probably mention that Prohibition had nothing to do with the creation of Walgreens. By the time Prohibition had started, Walgreens already had like 20 or so locations. But once Prohibition was over, that number had jumped to over 500 locations. Walgreens likes to say it's because they sold milkshakes, but the truth is it was because of another kind of beverage that they sold in prescriptions. Now, before we get going, do you want to hear an interesting story about prescription alcohol from Prohibition times? In late 1931, Winston Churchill was visiting the United States to give a series of lectures called The Pathway of the English-Speaking Peoples when he found himself in New York City on the 13th of December of that year, looking for a friend's apartment on 5th Avenue between 76th and 77th Street. He goes to cross the street, looks to the left like he would when crossing the street in England, and steps into the street to cross. Next thing he knows, wham! Churchill is struck by a car being driven by this unemployed mechanic, going about 35 miles an hour. Churchill ends up being dragged for a few yards, then flung into the street. Now, Churchill is pretty banged up from the accident. He suffered a few nasty gashes on his head, a sprained shoulder, some bruises on his chest, and 2 broken ribs. He was immediately rushed to nearby Lenox Hill Hospital, where he stayed for about 2 weeks. While he was there, he wrote an article about it. It's called My New York Misadventure. You can find it rather easily if you fancy yourself a read. By the way, to his credit, Churchill acknowledged the accident as being his fault, not the driver's. He did not harbor any ill will towards the man who struck him at all. In fact, quite the opposite. He worried about him not being able to find a job because of the incident. Oddly wholesome, huh? Likewise, the man who struck him felt that he was in the wrong for the accident. He blamed himself, and several times during Churchill's stay at the hospital, he called the hospital to see how Churchill was doing. What you're looking at here is a picture of Churchill being released from the hospital. Not long after this, he invited the man who struck him to join him for tea at the Waldorf Astra Hotel and gifted him an autographed copy of his book, The Unknown War. Anyways, what does this have to do with Prohibition exactly? Well, the following month, after he recovered enough from his injuries, Churchill wanted to continue on with his lecture tour, but was still in a lot of pain from the accident. So, Otto C. Pickard, his doctor at Lenox Hill Hospital, prescribed him with spirits. What you're looking at right now is his prescription. This is to certify that the post-accident convalescence of the Honorable Winston S. Churchill necessitates the use of alcoholic spirits, especially at mealtimes. The quantity is naturally indefinite, but the minimum requirements would be 250 cubic centimeters. Signed, Otto C. Pickard, MD. This is one of those stories that people like to sensationalize. They like to just mention the part where Winston Churchill visits the U.S. and gets prescribed alcohol. They don't mention that the man was prescribed it because he was hit by a car. Always dig a little bit deeper into things, folks. That's all for now. Make sure to stop by again next time you fancy another drink of gaggle water. Oh, and please tell your friends. We accept everybody down here. We accept all nations. Except for Carrie. Carrie sucks. See ya!